Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Prior to tonight's board meeting, we will have the public hearing for the proposed Kedzie Gateway Tax Incremental Financing District. Representing Kane McKenna, our TIF consultant tonight, is Bob Richlicki. Mr. Richlicki.
Thank you. As part of the as part of the process for any designation of a tax increment district, the village is required to go through a series of notices. And I'll give a little overview of those notices as it relates to what we have to do. First, there were notices to the residential addresses within 750 feet of this proposed area. Secondly, the village had to notify all of the taxing districts as well as the state of Illinois, which was done. Then there was a notice sent to all the taxpayers of record within the TIF district and any interested parties. And last but not least, there were 2 newspaper notices for the general public. All of these have transpired and occurred before tonight's public hearing. So the village has been in compliance with respect to the notices that have to be done on the way to the potential designation of the TIF district. As part of the exercise in terms of the meetings, there was also a meeting with the taxing districts called the Joint Review Board. That occurred on September 1st. Selected taxing districts attended, not all of them did, but they were all noticed. And for the districts that attended, we went over a variation of this presentation, and you had unanimous support. All of the taxing districts plus a public member indicated their recommendation to the village board to proceed with consideration of the TIF district. And again, that occurred on September 1st. No action would be taken today by the board. This is only a public hearing in order to get any input from the general public or from the other taxing districts. And today would basically, again, we have the public hearing, and once the public hearing is closed, you have to wait a period of at least 14 days, but no more than 90 before the board could consider the ordinances that it was. And then once adopted, if they are adopted, those ordinances would be filed with the Cook County Clerk.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Thomas, were there any written comments with regard to this TIF?
No, there were not.
Mr. Richlicki, the TIF overview.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can see, we had to start things off. There's a wide range shot of the former the big lots, and you can see from the former Burlington property. Again, that's part of our long-standing vacancy, part of the argument as it relates to the TIF for this property. We're going to go over in short order an overview of the plan, how it fits in with village planning and fiscal matters. We're going to talk about how the area qualified under the act, and then just briefly go over some of the key elements of the TIF plan. Again, the intersection you all are familiar with it at 183rd Street in Kedzie. It's considered as part of your comprehensive plan process, part of your gateway. No big surprise over the last 5 or 6 years, in addition to the imposition of the pandemic, retail has been changing in the United States as well as in the region. A lot of the big box uses, a lot of the large uses that are present in this area and also were anchors have either experienced closure or have to reposition themselves in order to keep customer base. That's one of the reasons the TIF could help. It would be an add-on to your normal entitlement and planning and zoning approvals. There, the area lined in red. As you can see, we mainly include the frontage properties. We've got some large uses, including the Jewel, the big lots, the car dealership, and then some of the smaller or ancillary retail pieces that are in strip centers or independent uses around the area. Again, the objectives are simple. It's to improve the valuation of the property, accomplish that over a reasonable period of time, and address some of the long-standing vacancies, as well as, again, reposition some of the property. If we could skip one more. Again, from the planning standpoint, The TIF is, even though it's a TIF plan, it really is more of a financing tool. Your comprehensive plan, your permits, your zoning, all are the basic tools that you would use in order to consider any redevelopment in the area. The TIF would basically allow you to capture increment or increases in valuation and the consequent increases in taxes and allocate them to this area that we saw in red. We could just skip this too. So the TIF designation is key. Again, given some of the competitive pressures that have hit retail over the years, the idea is to help reposition some of the property, address some of the longstanding vacancies, and provide for financial stability as well as job creation within the TIF district. You can go on one more. So again, the proposed uses and the existing uses pretty much line up. I mean, again, given the location of the area, the arterials that it faces, we're going to see the same kind of basic commercial retail development. It might be reconfigured in some ways, and there might be some mixed uses, but overall, there's no big shift in terms of what we see for land use. So in order to qualify under the TIF Act, it's not enough that you just identify the area. You have to meet certain criteria. In this case, it's a conservation area. 70% of the buildings are over 35 years old or greater. So then you go to step 2, which is you have to meet 3 out of 13 factors. The 13 factors are set forth in the TIF law, and we need at least 3 plus the age in order to qualify as a conservation area. It's important. The area is a conservation area. It's not yet blighted. The idea, again, is to reposition, reprogram the area in order to improve. Angela, if you could. So those are the 13 factors. The ones that we identified in consultation with village staff were obsolescence, and this primarily has to do with some of the changes in uses, the age of the properties, deterioration, more of a physical inventory that we took. Most of the deterioration was found in the parking lots and drives, as well as some of the loading areas. But there was also some deterioration as it relates to buildings, and that also ties in the number 4, presence of structures below code, which includes the large big lot property, as well as some of the smaller properties in terms of some of the fire and safety violations that were present. Excessive vacancies. This again, it just includes some of the spot vacancies that are within some of the strip center, as well as that office building that's there. But also some of the large commercial vacancies. And last but not least is lack of community planning. And this purely goes to when the properties were developed. They were all annexed into the village and posted as a group right around the time the comprehensive plan was put in place. So from a standpoint of some planning, there was a timing issue as it related to how the uses were laid out and how they continue to be laid out given the way the market's changing. So again, there's the 5 factors. Key elements of the TIF plan. Again, it's a larger TIF plan. We're only going to highlight it. Proposed land uses are commercial, retail, and office. Again, close to what we have now. That budget, $40,825,000, is a 23-year budget. It's over a long period of time. It does not obligate the village to spend this money. It's primarily a ceiling. Again, any utilization of those TIF funds have to come before the board. Just because you're in a TIF doesn't mean you get the money. The village, with similar to your other projects and other TIF districts, the board has to approve utilization of the TIF money. The base CAV for 2020, and this is the amount that the districts, including the village, would continue to levy on. That's $13,287,000. And depending on reuse, so this is really depending on the market, we forecast an increase of 35 to 40 million. But again, that's dependent on a number of factors, including not only the market, but rents and sales forecasts. So we could go, again, there's more detail as it relates to the budget. The TIF Act requires you to put in a detailed budget, but we also have the ability to shift. The village can all shift up between line items, but you can't exceed the bottom line. If you do that, you have to amend the plan and go back to the districts again, taxing districts. Angela, if we could. Okay, so we said that 23 years, it's flexible. And let's go to the last slide. So we're here, we finished the joint review board, finished all the public notices that were required. As I said earlier, after the hearing is closed, the village can consider adoption of the ordinances, but you have to wait 14 days, but no more than 90. And then they're filed with the county clerk, and the idea is, again, implement the redevelopment programs, and the ordinances as filed set up that base, and then the county would redirect any income into your special tax. And that would conclude our presentation.
Thank you. Public comments. Any comments or questions from anyone in the audience? Yes, sir. For the record, your name and address, please.
Yes, David Rivera, and I got a question. I downloaded the information here, and there's 3 homes that are going to be included in this TIF increment financing plan, and they're talking about buying the homes and land acquisition. That's what I'm talking about. So what is the land acquisition? What's the plan for that? And what's the plan for the use of the land?
Mr.
There is no specific, and I think there's only 2 homes that are in the 2 single-family homes. The plan is general. It just provides for, as we go back to that one slide, it says land acquisition. You know, that's on an as-needed basis by the board. There is no specific plans at this time that we're aware of that would be directed toward removing those homes from the TIF. Again, there's always the possibility that the owners, if somebody's interested in their property, they could talk to, but there's no specific provision in the TIF plan itself. The TIF plan is very general, that targets those 2 buildings.
Okay, and yeah?
Of course.
Okay. There's a clause in the information I downloaded that also mentioned the fact that there's going to be a streetscape.
Yeah, that's
How does that involve the 5th district and what is the plan?
okay. Again, you know, the village has done some streetscape in the downtown area. Again, because we don't have all the details or the engineering work in, all it is a line item in the budget.
Okay.
So when it's engineered or reviewed, you have the ability to fund it. That was like a marker. But there hasn't been any specific streetscape plan developed, although the village has done it in the past.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Any board comments? Questions? Okay.
Thank you.
With that, we'll call the public hearing to a close. Thank you, Mr. Rishlicki. And on to the village board meeting of September 28th. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Mrs. Thomas.
Trustee Dawkins.
Here.
Trustee Purcell.
Here.
Trustee Washington.
Here.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Here.
Trustee Heiferman.
Here.
Trustee Roman.
Here.
President Hofeld.
Here, representing staff this evening, to the audience is right, our Economic and Community Development Director, Angela Maceras, Finance Director, Dennis Bubenek, Assistant Village Manager, Napoleon Haney, Village Attorney, Chris Cummings, and Village Manager, Jim Marino. The minutes of September 14th, any additions or corrections, Trustee Dawkins?
None.
Trustee Purcell? Trustee Washington?
None.
Trustee Harris Jones?
None.
Trustee Heiferman? Trustee Roman?
Nothing.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Second.
Been moved by Trustee Washington, seconded by Trustee Harris Jones. Roll call, please.
Trustee Dawkins.
Aye.
Trustee Purcell.
Abstain.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. The claims list in the amount of $236,307.89. Again, Trustee Dawkins.
Nothing.
Trustee Purcell.
Nothing.
Trustee Washington. Trustee Harris Jones.
Nothing.
Trustee Heiferman.
I have no questions.
Trustee Roman.
Nothing.
I have a motion to approve the claims list, please.
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Trustee Purcell, seconded by Trustee Roman. Roll call, please.
Trustee Dawkins.
Aye.
Trustee Purcell.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
Claims list is approved. Hear from the audience. If anyone in the audience would like to address the board on any subject not on the agenda, please raise your hand. At this time, may I have a motion to reappoint Levi Glass to the Fire and Police Commission?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by Trustee Dawkins, seconded by Trustee Purcell. Roll call, please.
Trustee Dawkins.
Aye.
Trustee Purcell.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
The appointment is approved. The omnibus vote, Mrs. Thomas.
The board is asked to approve a 7-month extension to the grant writer's contract. Paul Zaremba will be paid $26,250 for his grant writing services. He has been working for the village since August 2019. The board is asked to approve a memorandum of understanding between Homewood and the village of East Hazelcrest regarding the purchase of water from Homewood in the future. The memo between the two communities allows each East Hazelcrest a 6-month evaluation period on the requirements and issues involved in getting East Hazelcrest permission to enter into a contract with Homewood for Lake Michigan water. Homewood is converting its water source from Harvey to Chicago Heights, getting its supply of Lake Michigan water from Hammond, Indiana. The board is asked to approve a contract for 2021 sidewalk saw cutting and grinding of trip hazards to Universal Concrete Grinding of Gilead, Ohio, the lowest possible bidder, at a cost of $35.33 per cut or grind location in an amount not to exceed $50,000. The board is asked to approve ordinance M 2195 for solicitation of alternate bids and proposals for the development of the property at 18225 Dixie Highway in the Dixie Highway Miller Court redevelopment project area. The property previously was Bogart's Char House. The site is expected to be purchased soon. The board is asked to approve Resolution R 3090, authorizing an endorsement agreement between Homewood and East Hazelcrest and the Daily Group LLC for development of a South Suburban casino and reimbursement of costs. This is one of the final steps needed for the review of applicants by the Illinois Gaming Board as it considers awarding a license for a South Suburban casino.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from anyone in the audience? Board comments? Trustee
No.
Dawkins? Trustee Purcell? Trustee Washington?
Just asking if we can separate them.
We'll do that. Trustee?
Nothing.
Trustee
I'd
Heiferman?
like a little more explanation of item D. That is our agreement to allow other bidders for the property, proposals for the property.
Mr. Cummings?
I can explain that. Since this property is in a TIF district, one of the things that the village can do is sell it, well, let me back up. If this property wasn't in a TIF district, the village would be obligated to sell that for either 80% of the appraised value of the property or to put the property out for bid. Since the property is in a TIF district, if the village is contemplating selling it for less than 80% of the appraised value, one of the steps that we have to do, or the village is obligated to do, is to advertise for alternate bids. So this is an opportunity, if anybody else or another developer had another project out there, we have to make that public, and we're not selling the property tonight. The bids would be opened at the October 12th meeting if there were any other alternate proposals. We've done this every time the village sells property that the village owns within the TIF district. We did the same thing for the former Triumph building. We had to go through that. This is the process we have to follow for the TIF.
If there's no additional buyers for the property or offers for the property, does that trigger the sale to the interested party automatically?
No, there's no contract to sell at this point. This is just, we're putting it out there. And at some point in the future, that would all have to come back before the board.
Thank you.
Trustee Roman?
No questions.
All right, I would at this time note that at the request of trustee Washington, that item E will be voted on separately. May I have a motion to approve items A through D?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by trustee Washington, seconded by trustee Purcell. Roll call, please.
Trustee Dawkins.
Aye.
Trustee Purcell.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
The consent agenda is approved. And now a separate motion to approve item E, resolution R3090. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Been moved by trustee Dawkins, seconded by trustee Purcell. Roll call, please.
Trustee Dawkins.
Aye.
Trustee Purcell.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
No.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
The motion is approved. General board discussion, trustee Dawkins. Trustee Purcell.
No.
Trustee Washington.
Nothing.
Trustee Harris Jones.
It was a great event at the Homewood Fall Fest this weekend. Nice weather, nice atmosphere, great music.
Trustee Heiferman.
Second that.
Trustee Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Marino.
Well, I think everybody knows that Napoleon's leaving us. Today is his last board meeting with us. He's accepted the position of village administrator in Olympia Fields. So I want to thank Napoleon for his 4 years of service to the community and the organization. He's done a great job for us. He's done a lot of work. He's worked very well with the residents, all the staff. He's really been a great help in the manager's office, a great help to me. He's taken a lot of the load off of me over the past 4 years. And he's turned out to be a great coworker. Really proud of everything he's done and appreciative. So I want to thank you, and I want to congratulate you and wish you the best in your new position. I know you'll do a great job for Olympia Fields. Thank you.
And on behalf of the entire board, we echo your thoughts. We'll miss you, Napoleon, and we wish you every success in the world. And if you want any Homewood secrets, you're not getting them. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by trustee Washington, second by trustee Purcell. Roll call, please.
Trustee Dawkins.
Aye.
Trustee Purcell.
Aye.
Trustee Washington.
Aye.
Trustee Harris Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Heiferman.
Aye.
Trustee Roman.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all. Hey, I know Mr. Lawyer.